the USSR representatives assert that they already have achieved many things which we in what they call the bourgeois democracies cannot achieve because their government controls the accomplishment of these things. Our government seems powerless to them because, in the last analysis, it is controlled by the people. They would not put it that way, they would say that the people in the USSR control their government by allowing their government to have certain absolute rights. We, on the other hand, feel that certain rights can never be granted to the government. But must be kept in the hands of the people. For instance, the USSR will assert that their press is free because the state makes it free by providing the machinery. The paper, and even the money for salaries for the people who work on the paper. They state that there is no control over what is printed in the various papers that they subsidize in this manner. Such, for instance, as a trade union paper. But what would happen if a paper were to print ideas which were critical of the basic policies and beliefs of the communist government? I am sure some good reason would be found for abolishing the paper. It is true that there have been many cases where newspapers in the USSR have criticized officials and their actions and have been responsible for the removal of those officials. But in doing so they did not criticize anything which was fundamental to communist beliefs. They simply criticized methods of doing things, so one must differentiate between things which are permissible. Such as criticism of any individual or of the manner of doing things. and the criticism of a belief which would be considered vital to the acceptance of communism. What are the differences, for instance, between trade unions in the totalitarian states and in the democracies? In the totalitarian state, a trade union is an instrument used by the government to enforce duties. Not to assert rights. Propaganda material which the government desires the workers to have. Is furnished by the trade unions to be circulated to their members. Our trade unions, on the other hand, are solely the instrument of the workers themselves. They represent the workers in their relations with the government and with management. And they are free to develop their own opinions without government help or interference. The concepts of our trade unions and those in totalitarian countries are drastically different. There is little mutual understanding. I think the best example one can give of this basic difference of the use of terms is the right to work. The Soviet Union insists that this is a basic right which it alone can. Guarantee because it alone provides full employment by the government. But the right to work in the Soviet Union means the assignment of workers to do whatever task is given to them by the government without an opportunity for the people to participate in the decision that the government should do this. A society in which everyone works is not necessarily a free society and may indeed be a slave society. On the other hand, a society in which there is widespread economic insecurity can turn freedom into a barren and vapid right for millions of people. We in the United States have come to realize it means freedom to choose one's job. To work or not to work as one desires. We, in the United States, have come to realize, however, that people have a right to demand that their government will not allow them to starve because as individuals they cannot find work of the kind they are accustomed. To doing, and this is a decision brought about by public opinion which came as a result of the Great Depression in which many people were out of work, but we would not consider in the United States that we had gained. Any freedom if we were compelled to follow a dictatorial assignment to work where and when we were told. The right of choice would seem to us an important, fundamental freedom. I have great sympathy with the Russian people. They love their country and have always defended it valiantly against invaders. They have been through a period of revolution. As a result of which they were for a time cut off from outside contact. They have not lost their resulting suspicion of other countries, and the great difficulty is today that their government encourages this suspicion and seems to believe that force alone will bring them respect. We, in the democracies, believe in a kind of international respect and action which is reciprocal. We do not think others should treat us differently from the way they wish to be treated. It is interference in other countries that especially stirs up antagonism against the Soviet government. If it wishes to feel secure in developing its economic and political theories within its territory, then it should grant to others that same security. We believe in the freedom of people to make their own mistakes. We do not interfere with them and they should not interfere with others. The basic problem confronting the world today, as I said in the beginning, is the preservation of human freedom for the individual and consequently for the society of which he is a part. We are fighting this battle again today as it was fought at the time of the French Revolution and as the time of the American Revolution. The issue of human liberty is as decisive now as it was then. I want to give you my conception of what is meant in my country by freedom of the individual. Long ago in London during a discussion with Mr. Wyszynski, he told me there was no such thing as freedom for the individual in the world. All freedom of the individual was conditioned by the rights of other individuals. That of course. I granted. I said, we approach the question from a different point of view / we here in the United Nations are trying to develop ideals which will be broader in outlook. Which will consider first the rights of man, which will consider what makes man more free, not governments, but man. The totalitarian state typically places the will of the people second to decrees promulgated by a few men at the top. Naturally, there must always be consideration of the rights of others. But in a democracy this is not a restriction. Indeed, in our democracies we make our freedom secure because each of us is expected to respect the rights of others and we are free to make our own laws. Freedom for our peoples is not only a right, but also a tool. Freedom of speech, freedom of the press, freedom of information, freedom of assembly, these are not just abstract ideals to us. They are tools with which we create a way of life in which we can enjoy freedom. Sometimes the processes of democracy are slow, and I have known some of our leaders to say that. A benevolent dictatorship would accomplish the ends desired in a much shorter time than it takes. To go through the democratic processes of discussion and the slow formation of public opinion. But there is no way of ensuring that a dictatorship will remain benevolent or that power once in the hands of a few will be returned to the people without struggle or revolution. This we have learned by experience, and we accept the slow processes of democracy. Because we know that shortcuts compromise principles on which no compromise is possible. The final expression of the opinion of the people with us is through free and honest elections. With valid choices on basic issues and candidates. The secret ballot is an essential to free elections, but you must have a choice before you. I have heard my husband say many times that a people need never lose their freedom if they kept their right to a secret ballot, and if they used that secret ballot to the full. Basic decisions of our society are made through the expressed will of the people. That is why when we see these liberties threatened, instead of falling apart, our nation becomes unified and our democracies come together as a unified group in spite of our varied backgrounds and many racial strains. In the United States we have a capitalistic economy. That is because public opinion favors that type of economy under the conditions in which we live. but we have imposed certain restraints. For instance, we have antitrust laws. These are the legal evidence of the determination of the American people to maintain an economy of free competition and not to allow monopolies to take away the people's freedom. Our trade unions grow stronger because the people come to believe that this is the proper way to guarantee the rights of the workers, and that the right to organize and to bargain collectively keeps the balance between the actual producer and the investor of money and the manage in industry who watches. Over the man who works with his hands and who produces the materials which are out tangible wealth. In the United States we are old enough not to claim perfection. We recognize that we have some problems of discrimination, but we find steady progress. Being made in the solution of these problems. Through normal democratic processes we are coming to understand our needs and how we can attain full equality for all our people. Free discussion on the subject is permitted. Our Supreme Court has recently rendered decisions to clarify a number of our laws to guarantee the rights of all. The USSR claims it has reached a point where all races within her borders are officially considered equal. And have equal rights, and they insist that they have no discrimination where minorities are concerned. This is a laudable objective, but there are other aspects of the development of freedom for the individual which are essential before the mere absence of discrimination is worth much, and these are lacking in the Soviet Union. Unless they are being denied freedoms which they want and which they see other people have. People do not usually complain of discrimination. It is these other freedoms, the basic freedoms of speech, of the press, of religion, and conscience, of assembly, of fair trial and freedom from arbitrary arrest and punishment. Which a totalitarian government cannot safely give its people, and which give meaning to freedom from discrimination.